Scene 3 on a heath. We come back, remember this is where the witches in scene 1 said, we will meet him where? Oh, we'll meet him on the heath. Oh, well, that's where we're going to meet Macbeth. Yes. Here is where we get to finally meet Macbeth. This scene starts off with the witches talking back and forth, once again, to showcase their supernatural abilities, to showcase their ability to predict the future, their ability to cause havoc and wreak spells upon people, or cast spells upon people and wreak havoc. I guess that would have been better. And as you see, just go ahead and flip it and look on 322. In essence, they're talking about one of them was slighted by a woman, and so they cast a spell on this individual. For the purpose of the plot of the play, it really has no relevance outside of the fact that it shows you how much power these women actually have. So it is important to help develop their characters. But if you're struggling to see, well, why are they casting a spell and a potion on this person? It truly doesn't matter. But look at why they do that to her. And that shows you their vengefulness. That shows you their ability to cast spells and, the dark side type thing. And then we see Macbeth show up on the next page. We meet Banquo. So 2 generals and 2 thanes, 2 equals. They're close individuals. You'd probably call them friends. Okay, and they are returning, after battle. Okay, they don't know anything about what happened on the previous page. The kings talking about, the honoring Macbeth and such. And so we get to see the witches talk to Macbeth and Banquo. I want you to. They're going to tell him something very important. Are you able to figure that out? They tell him 3 things. They tell Banquo some 3 things. See if you can figure out what those three things are, and then how would that impact you if they told you those things? Scene 3, the heath. The first witch is upset. You can see that she saw a sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap and mounched and mounched and mounched. And so when the witch demanded some, or the lady wouldn't share, wouldn't give it to her, so she wasn't being very... She didn't do what the witch wanted her to do. And so she cursed her husband, to be stuck out at sea. And, it shows them being vindictive. It shows them being dark. It shows them having power. And it's that supernatural power. It's just not some perceived power. It's legitimate power, as well as gives some validity to the prophecy that you see in a little bit. Instead of just some rantings of some crazy people, it's people that things tend to come true, the stuff that they say. Macbeth entrance, line 39. His line is interesting because it comes across kind of like one of the witches' lines. It sounds almost like it's the double talk. The so foul and fair a day I have not seen, the contradictory terms. It's kind of interesting. But if you look at the footnote, he's comparing the day to the foulness of the weather plus the fairness of winning. When we see these witches, you typically don't see witches on a sunny day. Blue skies, birds singing. It's dark. A lot of dark colors and dark purples and blues and all of that. Just real cool colors. And I think that this situation is very much similar to that. With all the commotion of the what's going on here. Banquo notices them. He says, "What are these, so withered and so wild in their attire, that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet they're on it?" So who are these things, these creatures that look like they don't belong here on earth, but yet they are here on earth? "You should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so." So a little humor. Did you pick it up when they read it, when you guys were following along a little bit? I think you're women, but the facial hair is kind of throwing me for a loop here. Just a little subtle humor there. "Macbeth, speak, if you can. What are you?" "All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Glamis." That's his name we saw on the cast of characters. "All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor." Well, we know that that's true. That's one of those dramatic irony moments where we know something that a character in the story doesn't. Then lastly, "All hail, Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter." Look at the directions for the actor here. Macbeth is startled by hearing this stuff. Probably the king one more than being called Thane of Cawdor. Banquo notices him being startled and addresses to him, "Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair?" To the witches, "In the name of truth, are ye fantastical, or that indeed which outwardly ye show? My noble partner you greet with present grace and great prediction, of noble having and of royal hope, that he seems rapt withal." These things are so wonderful, he just seems to be lost in thought about it and shocked. "But to me you speak not. If you can look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not, then speak then to me, who neither beg nor fear your favors nor your hate." Just tell me. I'm not scared of it. You can tell me what's going on. I just want to hear. Now his prophecies are back to that kind of double talk. Okay? "Hail, hail, hail, lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none." Well, this doesn't sound too great for Macbeth, or excuse me, for Banquo. Macbeth has all of these titles, and you're going to be king. But for Banquo, you're lesser than Macbeth, but ultimately you're greater. You're not as happy, but happier. "Thou shalt have kings, be fathered to kings, but you will never be king." Now, do they put a time limit on when these things are going to happen? It says Macbeth's going to be king. Tomorrow? When you're 90? Because in theory, if he's 90 and he becomes king for one day and then has a heart attack and dies, was the prophecy true? Yes. Completely. And that's what we're going to see in a little bit once Macbeth on 325 hears about being, now he is Cawdor, and he starts to think, wow, that prophecy is true. What about this other one? And that starts to get their brain going. And it's that prophecy that really starts the ball rolling for the rest of the play. And then once Lady Macbeth hears about it later on, it's going to go downhill pretty quickly. So Macbeth addresses them again. "Stay, you imperfect speakers, tell me more. By Sinel's death, I know I'm Thane of Glamis. So I know by my father's death I inherited the title. But I know that I'm Thane of Glamis. But how of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor lives, a prosperous gentleman. And to be king stands not within the prospect of belief, no more than to be the Cawdor. It's just, it can't happen. There's somebody else as Cawdor. I can't be Cawdor, just as there's another king. I can't be king. It's just not in the cards. It's impossible. Speak, I charge you." And what did they do? Evaporate, disappear. So again, we see another element of a supernatural ability that adds a little bit more credibility and credence to what they say and what they do. Macbeth and Banquo, this would be almost kind of an interesting scene to watch on stage, because they're both kind of shaken up a little bit. And if people might be a little giggly at times if things are kind of, well, that was weird. Yeah, that was strange. Where'd they go? Did we just imagine that? Banquo, there were such things here as we do speak about? Or have we eaten on the insane root that takes the reason prisoner? Are we hallucinating? Are we tripping on something? Something strange is going on. Okay? That's weird. Look at Macbeth. "Your children shall be kings." My children? You shall be king. Don't forget, and Thane of Cawdor too. Went it not so? Weren't it not so? That's what they said. So they're kind of even just comically shrugging it off like that's ridiculous. Okay? And it is ridiculous and stays ridiculous for about another third of a page until we have two people from the king show up. First is the Thane of Ross. Ross will show up from time to time, and he always seems to show up and give about the same amount of dialogue each time, of substance. Okay? And you will see him about 4 or 5 different times where he comes in and he's there of importance. And he comes in and just explains about the king and what's been going on, and the king's heard about everything. And then he, along with Angus, are there to have Macbeth escort him to the king. But also, remember, they said, go and greet Macbeth with his new title. And here's that dramatic irony that we were talking about. Ross, and for an earnest of a greater honor. So we want you to come with me. He bade me, from him I have to call you the Thane of Cawdor, in which addition, hail, most worthy Thane, for it is thine. Look at the word aside for Banquo. In essence, asides are inner monologues. Okay? If you were watching actors have inner monologues, it would look like this. I'm having inner monologues right now. But that doesn't really work too well for a play. So his inner monologues are the asides that are spoken, and if it's not directed at somebody, it's just strictly for us, the audience. If it's for one other person, like it'll say an aside to Macbeth, only those people can hear. Even though physically the actors on stage should be able to eavesdrop on that conversation, you have to suspend that disbelief. It's not, they can't hear it. Okay? So Banquo, upon hearing instantly that they are calling him Thane of Cawdor, calling Macbeth Thane of Cawdor, Banquo goes, what? Can the devil speak true? Macbeth, what, the Thane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me in borrowed robes? Well, you know, the Thane lives yet, but under heavy judgment bears that life. So he's kind of held before trial right now. And he's been stripped away from his, his title and nobility, and the king has bestowed this upon you, and so you are now the Thane of Cawdor. So here's a very telling aside with Macbeth, the top of 326. Glamis, which was his original title, and Thane of Cawdor. The greatest is behind. And there's a footnote, then the greatest is still to come. Because I'm sure when you guys read this or were following along, you saw that came true. Like instantly you would think, well, what's that other one going to be? How is that other one going to play out? When is it going to play out? Now he has an aside to Banquo. Do you not hope your children shall be kings? When those that gave the Thane of Cawdor to me promised no less to them. This is a very telling statement because he whispers to Banquo about Banquo's kids going to become king. He does not go, hey man, that means I'm going to be king. If he did, it would show that he was thinking about it. But for Banquo's purpose, he directs it straight to Banquo. Hey, your kids are going to be king. They said that I was going to be Cawdor, and I'm Cawdor, so your kids are probably going to be king. And he leaves it at that. That's very important because they don't have too many conversations left throughout this play, and you're always going to be wondering what the other person is truly thinking. Okay? Because pretty much everybody in here, if I told you were going to be king or queen and you didn't believe it, but then something else happened that makes you think, well, now that might come true, of course you would be thinking about it. No matter what you're trying to convince me that you're not thinking about it, I know that you are. Okay, and Banquo will eventually probably start catching on. But Macbeth is doing a good job instantly trying to go under the radar a little bit. Page 326 there at the bottom, his little monologue there. He kind of zones out and he starts to think about certain things, thinking about how I will become king. And he starts to have bad images in his mind and images of murdering Duncan. And this is somebody who loves Duncan. This is somebody who has fought and killed for Duncan. And yet he still has these thoughts in his mind, that I am Thane of Cawdor. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock at my ribs? Last few lines there. My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes. So my single state of man, that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is what is not. So he's starting to really kind of freak out and have these thoughts like, no, I can't think that way. I can't think that way. He has an aside at the bottom to himself. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me. Did he do anything between the time that he heard that he was, when the witches called him Thane of Cawdor, and when he first found out he is Thane of Cawdor? Did he do anything? It was a half a page. It was nothing. Chance called me this, and chance made me this. Maybe chance called me king. Chance will make me king. Maybe I don't have to do anything. Maybe I don't have to kill him. Maybe he'll die of a heart attack on his own. Maybe he'll make me king and retire. Who knows? So that's his thing, is get these bad thoughts out of my mind. Delete, 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 and I will take care of this. Just let it all play out and everything's going to be fine. And that's why he says, if chance will make me king, by chance may crown me without my stir, without me having to lift a finger. Everybody's breaking up and they're all going to be caravanning to meet the king, which we'll see next scene. And Banquo and Macbeth get a little moment together there. After Macbeth says, let us toward the king, about 154 or so. Think upon what hath chanced, and at more time, the interim having waited, let us speak our free hearts to each other. So let's not tell people about what we've experienced, about what we supposedly know about the future. And let's think about what's going on, process and digest it, and when we get some time, we'll get together and talk about it and get a plan and figure out what's going on and see if we are still crazy, like we thought a little bit ago. Good. Banquo said, very gladly, sure. Till then, enough. Come, friends. And they all take off, and then they head to see the king and have a big announcement. But that's in scene 4. Okay?